Hello friends, and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. In today's video we're making bean soup with roasted pork. So everything you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make this soup. There are two different kinds of bean bags that you're going to have to buy, which basically one is a Great Northern, the other is a 15 bean soup. And then we just have some leftover pork that we had from another meal plus some other ingredients, and that's what we're going to use to make this bean soup. So we're going to get started by cutting up the pork. Now you can use anything from some roasted pork, pork roast, or even pork chops that you have left over. In the end, you're going to need about like 2.5 cups of meat from this. So what we're going to do is take what's left over here and cut this into smaller pieces where you kind of want a decent sized hunk of the meat. You don't really need it to be huge, but you don't want to shred it into small pieces either. And we're just going to go ahead and cut up all these pieces until they're completely ready to be used. And as you can see, just cut them into small pieces. And then we're going to put them in a bowl and set them to the side until we're ready to use them. So in a really large pot, I have put a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom, because we're going to actually add into this about 1/2 cup of onions. And then we're going to add about 1/3 cup of red and green peppers, which have been cut up into smaller pieces. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of minced garlic. And go ahead and mix that up. Now you're going to need to be on at least medium to high heat on this because we want to start cooking the onions, the peppers, and everything. And you're going to know when they start really getting cooked because you're going to smell the garlic. But we're going to do this for at least, I'd say, 4 to 5 minutes until we get them really going here before we add anything else. And as you can see in my pot, it's really hot and steamy because these have started to cook really well. So we're going to add the meat into this. And then we're going to add some seasoning to it. So basically what we are going to add is 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And then we're going to mix this up once everything is all into the pot, because we want to get the seasoning all over the meat, all over the vegetables and everything before we do anything else to this. Now once everything is mixed up, we are going to add 1 cup of chicken broth. And then we're going to mix this up a little bit more because we want to actually make sure that everything in this pot is really seasoned. So keep stirring it, and you should probably have your heat up as high as you want to, like maybe high at this point, because we're going to start bringing the temperature up in the pot to a temperature to start cooking in a minute. Now on top of this, we are adding 1 cup of Great Northern beans and 1 cup of 15 bean soup. So there's a lot of different kind of beans in here, but they're going to mix together to have such a great taste, because when you cook this up between the beans, the pork, and all the other, like the onions and the peppers and the garlic, it's going to have such a great taste. Now once all of that is kind of mixed around and you got everything sorted through, then we're going to add in some water to this because we need to bring a water level up for this to cook. So we're going to add about 5.5 cups of water. Now when you put your water in, if this starts to cook for a while and you see that it's going down below the level of the meat and the beans, you need to add a little bit more water to it. You could always add another 1/2 cup to a cup if you have to, but this should have been enough, because if we already put in a cup of the broth and then 5.5 cups of the water, you should have plenty. And this is going to cook for at least 2.5 hours with a lid on it to make sure that it's cooked through. And you can test your beans at that point to see if they are done. And when you're done, you're going to get something that looks like this. And this is an amazing meal, and there's going to be a lot here that you could eat for several days. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out my cookbooks, which are available in bookstores worldwide. The first is about everyday cooking. The second is all about baking. Have a great day.